What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin.
And we have yet another album review for you, and one that was on my list as soon as it was announced because I've been a fan of this band for a while, and I know the sort of hellish torment that they bring with their music. So we're going to go over the latest offering from Drawn and Quartered, Lord of Two Horns. This comes out on the 27th of June on Nuclear Winter Records. This band formed in 1994 in Seattle, Washington. This is their 9th album overall. I actually reviewed their last album, Congregation of Pestilence Solo. Really would have brought, John in, but I think schedules are conflicted.
Right, I don't know what the hell happened, but,
I don't know. I've been a fan of this band for a while. I believe the album I got into them with was Hail Infernal Darkness. It's hard to say. It was back when they had their old logo versus their new, creepier logo. Either way, to describe this band, it's cavernous, it's dissonant, it's blasty, it's evil. Again, I wanted John in on this one because this is what I call a John band. And with how I described it, there was a good chance that John would practically cream himself as soon as he heard the description of this band.
I mean, there's that. I mean, he might have been right. I don't know about cream.
So you're cream free?
It's been a long day at work, so I don't know if there was like a full-blown cream. It may have been like a
seminal dusting.
Right, I was gonna say it may have been like a powdered creamer. It's been a day, but yeah, it's strange because I never really sat down and actually really listened to this band. We saw them at MDF 2022, and I really liked them there, and I meant to sit down with them again and just you didn't get there, but I should have. I should have a long time ago. Yet another one of these bands where I should have a long time ago gotten into them and didn't. But yeah, I mean, the description is pretty spot on to what it was. And I tell you what, man, this record is absolutely unrelenting in all of those things. But speed, good God, the speed on this record is insane. Starts off with Black Castle Butcher, blasty, gnarly sounding riffs. The song perfectly sets up the rest of the album as far as what you're gonna get. It's just an excellent precursor. The vocals sit right in the middle. There's flying evil tremolos, and that just sets up the album. But really, it's that unrelenting speed that is just, it's throughout.
Dude, the drummer on this album, I mean, it's almost a steady blast beat throughout this entire album. And it's on that same level as Pete Sandoval, John Longstreth. It's just so percussively heavy, and the drums have just such a great sound on here.
Yeah.
You can make out everything he's doing very clearly, and it's fucking bewildering at times. Not only because it's going at light speed, but dude has some crazy fills and turnovers all over the place, and they happen at light speed. I swear if this dude was drumming any faster in this album, he probably would have disappeared in the studio and blast beated his way into the future. Legit, with the pace of this album being as fast as it is, and as evil and as dark and as menacing as, I feel like I got fucking waterboarded by this album.
Yeah, even before we started this review, I was just sitting down here going, whew. Because, I mean, it goes, and it goes, and it goes, and y'all know me and my love for dissonance. And I tell you what, two of the most dissonant tracks on this album, Into the Mouth of the Dead and Three Rivers of Poison, Blasphemous Persecution, are just, in fact, very dissonant. And I love it. And not only are they very dissonant, but they're also two of the catchiest tracks too. This band loves evil descending harmonies, and the leads that come with it are these counter harmonies, but here these riffs are extra monotonous, and sometimes that's a bad thing, but in this case, especially with the speed of this record, you need some moments to stand out, and both of these tracks and the way they're presented and their melodies per se are just that.
Yeah, a lot of this album lays on, again, just this steady, fast-paced blast beat and a lot of hefty tremolos. That is almost the core of this entire album's sound. And kind of by extension, this band, they kind of the old school, very evil death metal stuff. This is very comparable Dead Congregation, Cruciamentum. I would say Dequisitor out of Denmark.
Yeah.
Sadly, that band broke up not too long ago. But they make good use of catchy melodies. Not all of the tremolos feel like they're very stock or they overlap. They do a good job harmonizing them both in straightforward harmonies and again the counter harmonies. And lead play on here is really interesting because most of the time it's like a lead harmony, but like their note choices are really interesting.
And the phrasing, too, of these leads, I almost dare to say it's a neoclassical phrasing. Again, not so much in the note choices. You know, you're not writing a sonnet here. But the very fluid-like motion of these leads kind of makes it a neoclassical thing. They're all like descending harmonies and counter harmonies, but just in the phrasing, you'll hear it.
Descending harmonies are a huge thing on here, whether it's in tremolos or they do like single, notes, which that's more rare because again, like the guitars are keeping pace with the drums. Like that tremolo picking is like right on lock with the drums on here, which drums are fucking fast. But those descending harmonies are very effective. They feel like you're being like dragged underwater or something like that by some creature. And weirdly enough, I instantly thought of like 20,000 Leagues on the Sea, like when they're coming out of the bottom of the ship, like in the suit, like it's the same like chord progression, except, done by Satan instead of like whoever scored that fucking movie that I still love.
That's right, folks. Drawn and Quartered has now been compared to Disney.
It's got to be a first. This is a cool Disney movie.
Yeah, I didn't say it wasn't. Now, this record isn't totally speedy. We were talking about it during listening to this, that we wanted it to slow down just a tad because you get, 5 songs of To the Moon, and you're like, all right, I just need to breathe a little bit. And then the record did that. Grimoire of Blood has groovy pockets in it. It's still blasty as shit, but it does slow down a couple of times and at least allowing for a little bit of groove. In fact, the drum patterns in that song are probably some of the craziest patterns everywhere. I swear to God, that guy hits everything. Reminds me a lot of the Faceless one from Hate Eternal.
Honestly, yeah, Hate Eternal is definitely a vibe I got on this one. That track in particular, though, I like how, it does slow down, but it really doesn't because he's still going like crazy in the fucking foot speed. But when he hits that interesting break, like there's this weird transition where, I don't know, like the drummer just decided he was in a prog band for a second.
Yeah.
It's this crazy pattern with like lots of clever cymbal accents, and then he's doing like a turnover or two in between. And it's interesting because, the music doesn't try to, like, go proggy or anything at all. It stays locked on that tremolo. But it was kind of cool to hear him show off a little bit more in the way of, like, different techniques. Because, again, like, this dude's, like, a machine on here.
But then there's also one slower track. Dare I say it's almost doomy in the beginning. It slows down quite a bit. The Devil's Work is never done.
It isn't.
It's not. And when you say the devil, you think of evil, and I swear to God, this song is extra evil. This might be more evil than Satan himself. I'm not 100% if that's possible, but Drawn and Quartered definitely tried. I swear to you, I didn't think that the stank, sour lemon face was going to leave my face. It was stuck on there for a good 2 minutes where I was just like, ugh.
It looked like he was holding his mouth full of vomit.
Oh, man. But another cool thing about this, too, is it doesn't immediately speed up either. It stays in this nice, slow, almost doomy territory for quite some time, and then it builds into its speedier moments. Just had a good, like, gradual incline into speed. And even then, even after it builds into speedy, it has, I don't know, technically a breakdown.
I mean, technically, like, the pacing of it was different than, I would say, any other song in here, because a lot of these songs just take off. It's like a turnover and go, and you get blast beats and either like, again, like cold, icy, evil sounding dissonance or, just hefty, dark tremolos. But this one, you have like single chords and they start harmonizing them. And, it's slow and plodding. Like the opening is essentially kind of a breakdown and then it kind of forms into a rhythm. And his slow drum playing on here is awesome too. Again, like lots of cool fucking accents. But that gradual build, that made the song stand out. And it wasn't all just blast beats either. There's actually just like pockets of like kind of thrashy D beats in there.
Lots of dynamic in that song, and that was cool to see.
Same thing with the title track too. The title track, despite being just a blast fest, is also very dynamic. Like lots of cool riff changes in there. Yep. There's a very like Deicide / Vital Remain style kind of breakdown in there where it gets like just nice and thrashy and chuggy. And the bridge of that song. The bridge of that song has some absolutely filthy, gross, disgusting bending riffs. I watched his lip curl as soon as he heard the first note. I was like, oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one right there.
Yeah, the bendy harmonies, I tell you what, I'm a sucker for those, just like I'm a sucker for dissonance, just like I'm a sucker for low tremolos. And man, that was... Ugh.
And honestly, like, it doesn't need like a tremendous amount of like extra stuff. Like, you know, the music for the most part generates a lot of the atmosphere. The dissonance, again, I'm kind of picky with dissonance in terms of like how much of it is used. It's used pretty effectively here.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they really do like try to harmonize it, but they're not trying to make like, you know, like the lush harmonies you expect from like
Right.
Pulse Rate or anything like that.
Right.
They're trying to kind of like find a good balance to make it a little bit tuneful, but also remain just evil as fuck. And again, the mix on here is just about perfect for this too. Everything has its own space. Nothing feels like cluttered or muddy, which is a real feat considering how fast this album moves. Like, you know, generally like super blasty albums at a point they can feel like just kind of overwhelming at a point where it's just like every, you know, point of noise or every space is occupied.
Well, it's because most like super blasty albums, most albums that move at the speed of light are also somewhat compressed to allow you to be able to hear everything. And in this case, everything sounds extremely natural, especially the drums, especially the snare drum. I think that is very close to what you're going to get live. It doesn't sound like there's studio magic on it. It doesn't really sound like there's studio magic on anything. Just this big, like, rich, murky, natural sound, which I think captures exactly what they were looking for as far as the overall vibe of this record.
Yeah, this was mixed and mastered by Loic F. I know him from his band Autocrator, which is also dark, dissonant, and evil. So they tapped the right dude to do this. But outside of like the, you know, the dissonance, the atmosphere, and such, riffs do kind of help break this up, because my one complaint would be that there are points where it kind of hits that sort of monotonous, almost like hypnotic point where, again, like everything is in sync and it becomes like this fast rhythmic pulse, like you're listening to a fucking gerbil have a heart attack because the drums are moving that fast. It can get kind of hard to distinguish some songs from one another, but I would say like there are definitely songs that do stand out because, again, of the riff work itself. You know, the vocals, I mean, they're just awesome death metal vocals. They're deep, they're grimy. The cadences are generally pretty on the riff, but, you know, I dig them overall. I will say that Into the Mouth of the Dead, maybe some of the dissonance might have been a little overdone in there, at least for me. I'm not, like, again, like, dissonance crazy like this lunatic. But for the most part, I just dig the songs overall. And this band generates a vibe, a very familiar vibe if you listen to bands like, you know, Immolation, Incantation, you know, Morbid Angel too. But man, this thing is an absolute monster. Might need to like sage scrub my house after listening to this one. I don't know. The devil knows where I live anyway, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he knows where I live too. In fact, I'm pretty sure I brought back something from MDF because the cat just stares at the ceiling and meows, and that's not normal. So I don't know.
I gave the devil your address. It's fine.
It's fine. He already knew. Let's be honest here. I mean, as far as complaints are concerned, I guess I will state that in the beginning, at least, it is kind of like the songs run into each other a little bit because of their, again, just that unrelenting speed and not really introducing groove until 6 songs in. Like, you're just like, come on. But at the same time, there are moments in all of those songs where the riffs are particularly memorable or extra evil sounding or whatever that still capture the attention. So it's not like it's a complete gripe. Me, who I am as a death metal listener over the years, have become accustomed to things like groove or little groovy pockets or just things to kind of spice it up. Like, I do like Unrelenting Blast, you know, like Deicide and Origin and, you know, Hate Eternal and things like that. But I mean, like, you know, I could have broken it up a little bit more, but it wasn't a bad thing. I like every song on this record. I didn't have a problem with any song. The last track, Mass Grave Curse, it's only 2 minutes long. It's kind of like evil punk and thrash, kind of. It's weird.
It's kind of a throwback. I don't know, like, you know, it comes right after The Devil's Work is Never Done, and just to prove it, they threw an extra 2-minute track in there. That's The Devil's Overtime, man.
Sure. But I mean, overall, I didn't really have a whole lot of complaints to the mix. Once again, I gotta say, the mix, I think, is absolute perfection for something that sounds like this, especially the way this record, again, just absolutely unrelenting, pummeling, just sock in the face over and over and over again. So overall, I'm going to give it 4 stars. I can't say too much more, as I've already said a bunch anyway, but gnarly, filthy guitar tones. The leads are just a bit crisper again to kind of separate themselves a little bit. Full of evil tremolos, full of nasty descending, I mean, straight to hell are these tremolos, man. Low and just unsettling, and the creepy harmonies and the counter harmonies that come with the leads, I think, are just a extra awesome touch. It's not without character. Even though it is a blasty shit fit, there are still times, once again, like where it does slow down a little bit or just gives you a little bit more to work with. But yeah, I'm not going to keep talking anymore. I've already said a whole bunch. So if you're into bands like Cruciamentum, Immolation, Dead Congregation, earlier Altars material, Abriosus, Hate Eternal, stuff like that, you're probably really going to dig this. I would recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I'm also at a 4. You know, like the lack of groove, you know what? It's actually kind of fine because I am kind of legit impressed with just how much they just went for it on here.
Yeah.
This, I don't know, could be one of their fastest paced albums yet. I mean, I've been listening to this band for years, and groove was definitely more of a thing in the earlier days, but Jesus, this thing is just monstrous. The drum performance, though, outside of just being blasty, is just incredible. And again, I love their guitar work. You know, the melodies are haunting. They sound just caustic and vicious, but also, again, it has that nice evil sort of tinge to it across the board. The counter harmonies and just straight up harmonies really give the riffs a lot of character too. This is, right up my alley in terms of just the harsh, blasty, very atmospheric stuff. Again, Dead Congregation and Cruciamentum in particular. Maybe even a little bit of Angel Corpse too, because again, you're just being fucking throttled by this album. I do really like when they did slow it down though. That was a nice break. Maybe could have used it a little bit earlier in the album, but it's really not much of a complaint because it still happened. And this album's relatively short. It's only 33 minutes, but I would say that this is pretty much all killer here. There really isn't a track in here, I would admit. Even one that I liked a little bit less, I still liked it. Yeah, if you're a fan of literally all the bands that we have been name dropping here, whirl them up all together and you will have this one. Jam the shit out of this. This is absolutely gnarly. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They're only 99 cents, and a little perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we will eventually get to. I don't know if we're going to get to it this month. Again, a lot of external factors going on right now, holiday weekend and such. We don't know what we're doing for that because there are legit no releases coming up next week. So, I don't know. We might have to come up with some clever videos for the weekend.
Yeah, it's been a little busy. They fired a couple people in my job, so I mean, I'm nonstop kind of indisposed. Trust us, though. We will get to it.
Either way, membership's the main way to support the channel. There's a join button down below, and yeah, you can hit it and join in one of our members-only live streams, which those are generally pretty dumb. Not that our really ones aren't stupid, too. But who knows? You might hear us talk about stuff that's even weirder. What animal corpse John likes to use as a fleshlight. You could find out on one of our members-only live streams.
Yep, I'm not telling you here. I'm not telling you on a regular live stream either. So, just so you know, I'm not going to mention it.
He is banned from a lot of parks.
But even if you choose not to hit that join button, it's cool because we still do other live streams as well. Sometimes we typically have guests, which is pretty neat. Beyond that, we've got album reviews coming your way, discography rankings. Beyond that, we have Nick's Never-Ending Collection updates, states of metal, is it not metal all the time. I don't know. Tons of stuff coming your way. We do it all for you guys because we appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of this channel. Thank you for subscribing to Thralls of Metal. Even those of you that haven't subscribed to Thralls of Metal, thank you as well. We just appreciate you guys watching and commenting and doing all the wonderful things you do. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys absolutely rule. Tons of content coming your way. So one more big thank you because you guys are awesome, and we will catch you later.